Say did da ba 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 da do da 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 da.
Hello everyone, today in War Thunder we have another devblog, and this devblog is for two new naval maps. One of them, the Mediterranean ports, and another Green Mountains Gulf. Now I'm going to cover them both in the same video, just because with naval maps so far, they've all been kind of, samey would be a word I would use. Basically you have a really nice exterior, where you have some interesting things to look at, whether it be houses, castles, little monuments and stuff like that. And then you have the interior, which is either small islands or bridges and things like that. Basically obstacles to get between these smaller boats. So it's not just, just sea-on-sea warfare. So with that said, let's get into it. The first one being, of course, Mediterranean ports. And the Mediterranean ports is created to represent the coast of Italy. Our artist created this landscape together with bays and stony islands, exemplifying the surroundings of Naples and the island of Capri. Now, I talked to a few people on the Discord about where this was, and it's basically, if you look where the volcano is, I might just go up a little bit, there we go. If you see where the volcano is, that is mainland Italy, where Naples is, and then if you go west from that point, you run into this island, which is the island of Capri. So it is based in a actual setting in the world. I think personally what they've done is they've shortened the distance between Italy and the island of Capri. But one thing that they have done, which is a mainstay in all of these ship maps, is it looks absolutely stunning. There is something about these ship maps which are just amazing to look at, down to all of the details, whether it's the houses that you see, the volcano in the background, all of the trees and everything like that. Everything looks great. Now, in a few of these shots later on, I'll show a few inconsistencies with this, but when you look at this picture, the first thing I think of is it's absolutely beautiful and also absolutely wasted, because it's just on a random island somewhere that you're not really going to see. But the fact that they've put so much attention to detail in such a little part of it, it's gotta make you smile a little bit. And it makes you realize the map designers at War Thunder, when it comes to ground forces, when it comes to naval, they do a superb job at making the maps look great. Now, the functionality is obviously a different story, so we'll get into that. But just through these screenshots, all of these are mainly looking at... Oops, I didn't mean to open that. Let's see if I can close it quickly. Oh, God damn. That's my other that's my streaming software, so you can enjoy this for a second. Close down, Montague. You're not supposed to be alive. Oh well, we'll just leave it. Hopefully it doesn't cock this up. Anyway, sorry about that. So, with that said, the maps look absolutely stunning. And these are no exception. I do like the contrast that we find in the Mediterranean Sea, something that I talked a lot about in the Ground Forces map for Italy, which I still haven't really done a map analysis on, just because I'm still not confident with doing it. But the colours that were on offer, very bright colours, high contrast, very much like the Maginot Line town, everything just kind of comes out of its shell. And something that I really like is this idea of contrast. I like boosting contrast in a lot of ways, and the lighting on these maps really does it for me. It makes stuff pop out, which is really nice to see. Also, this actually reminds me of Just Cause 3. If you've never played Just Cause 3, it takes place in an area of the world which has very similar scenery and housing to this Mediterranean port, and for me, it's just nice to think about Rico just running around, especially around that volcano. Now, there are a few things to bring up. How big is this map? And will we be able to go into the volcano? Especially with helicopters around the corner, with a bit more precision in movement. I think trying to get into that volcano should be the first port of call for many people, especially on the dev server with helicopters. With that said, the rest of the map, what we see is something which is very similar to what we've seen from other maps, if not slightly different. So the first thing we see is the port itself, where you actually see the little harbours, where the ships will stay, the general commercial or, fun ships, I suppose, but in this war setting, they are obviously not there. We also see collections of islands to the right, and this is also emphasized in a picture like this. We see the collection of islands, and then we see some larger islands. So the two basic design of maps that I've seen in War Thunder for Naval is you have two spawns, and the first archetype, you'll have a massive island in front of the spawn, and then you'll have a bunch of mini islands in the middle. Then there's the other one, where you have a massive island in front of the spawn, and then it goes into a much more open area with less islands. And with this, I prefer the ones with the smaller islands, because it means that, remember, I play mostly arcade ships. I can set up my torpedo so it covers an entrance between the islands, and then from there, I can go and fight in a different place, not having to worry about that area. And it means that you can maneuver around the islands in a really cool and interesting way. And since, if you look at a lot of these islands on the map, they don't seem flat. They seem to at least have a little bit of contour to them, which means that shooting over them shouldn't be the easiest thing possible. But overall, it's the same similar map design we've seen before. So playing it out shouldn't really be that different compared to what we have seen. Why won't you close? Do you not feel like it today? There you go. Nope, still not closed. But anyway, here, let's have a look at this. This is the wonderful mode that they do to have a look around, which I think is really awesome. So this seems to be the general map. What we'll do is we'll turn auto-rotation off and auto-follow off. So with this said, here is your collection of islands. So my guess is that one spawn will be here, one spawn will be over here, or one spawn will be here, and one spawn will be here. So you have the idea of the big block of island in front of you, then the small mini islands to fight around. This will not give its way greatly to destroyers, and because of that, it means to me that it will be a lower tier map. Now, does that mean that destroyers will be useless? No, because they can spawn back here, they can also spawn back here, and they'll move their way into the battlefield. The issue is all these small little islands here will get in their way. And also with the light cruisers and maybe even larger stuff, there's also a ship broken here, some kind of PT boat, and I can't zoom in because my scroller is broken, but this seems to be much more designed for smaller stuff than it does for larger ships. Now, something that I noticed, which is a little bit odd, and it may be an issue with the lighting, look how, first of all, amazing this is. There's an absolute metric ton of houses on this side, and this is the Italian side of the map. So, as I said, this is the Italian side, this is Naples, and this is the island where all the high definition seems to be. But we do have a little port here as well, looks much more industrial. But with that said, you can see how, once again, this is where the fighting is going to be. For some reason, these islands are in low res in this picture. I have no idea why, it just seems a bit odd to me. But once again, it seems like much more of a lower tier map, not a higher tier map at all. We've got a wreckage, which is lovely. And once again, there's something odd going on with these. It looks like each one of these islands has a barrier around them of stone and then a fence. But when you go to here and look at them, it just doesn't look very good, you know? It just doesn't look very nice. So maybe up close it looks good, as we've seen, but when we look away, it's a different angle. It doesn't look so great. Here's a little house with a little bit of a shrine on it. And what's nice is that they just have sailing boats dotted around all over the place, and also what looks like a PT boat as well, probably something that they did through testing. And then, of course, we have a lighthouse, and this is what I mean by maybe there is options for destroyers. You can see this part being the lower BR map, and then maybe this area here is used as the higher tier map. So you have a capture point here, here, and here, and you have destroyers over there, and they fight through. But then the landscape doesn't really play a part, so that I personally would have an issue with. I think it would be kind of boring. You have, of course, the big house on the hill, and you have the big house on the other hill, and once again, these fences around, which as you can see from a distance, if we look at this one or look at this one, they don't look the best. So yeah, overall, it's a map which looks beautiful and looks like it has exactly the same functionality as the other maps that we have. Moving on, this is the Green Mountains Gulf. It takes us to the coast of Northern Europe and Scandinavia, fjords and rocky islands, cross-covered stones, spruce and pine trees on the seashore, all demonstrating the harsh beauty of the north. So we're talking about Scandinavia, so basically the curvy bit when you look northeast of England. And with that said, the terrain is of course different. It's much more rocks and pine trees, and as you can see, mists and interesting castles and everything like that, and much more rocks instead of houses, which is nice to see. The houses that you'll get will be much more dotted around in a village sense instead of a city sense. And once again, we see the fact that the landscape has definitely changed. So let's go full screen on this, and there's only 2 pictures for this one, and it looks a hell of a lot more open. So here's the castle, wonderful castle, and this looks to me where the main fighting is going to happen, but it does give you a big room for destroyers on the side. Now there is a map that we play, and I can't remember what it's called, but it has the same similar contrast of this map, with the trees and everything like that. We have a part in the middle which is kind of segregated away from the destroyers, and then after the first 5 to 10 minutes when the destroyers come in, they're able to shoot into the center and also cap the points. The way that map works is there's a point around here, there's a point in the center, and there's a point on the other side, and the destroyers will spawn here, they'll spawn here, here, and over there, and they'll slowly move their way in, and once they move in, they can annihilate everything that's in the center, unless they get torpedoed. That's basically how the map works in realistic and in an arcade, and I'm guessing this map is going to work incredibly similarly to that. And then we get this picture, which is very odd, because for some reason, all of the islands look incredibly low res. Even look at the shape of this one, and this is not normally something that I would personally expect. It just seems like something has gone wrong here when it comes to this screenshot, which is probably true, but we'll find out with time. Once again, the main fighting area is definitely around here, and then these open areas over here and over here are much more designed for destroyers. So what we're seeing is a segregated part with smaller ships in the middle, and then in the wider parts, destroyers. I mean, it makes sense. It is what they've done in other maps, and it's as simple as that. So it looks like they're not doing anything crazy here. I think especially with this map, there's a little bit more opportunity for open waters, meaning maybe more AI going around the place. I mean, we had tests with cargo ships in the closed alpha test, or whatever you want to call it, the pre-closed beta test, and it was kind of cool having the cargo ships just around the place for you to destroy. Maybe a map like this, since because of its size, will have some more AI involved, because so far in ship maps there's just no AI, and in tanks there's no AI either, but in air there is, and I think ships could do with some AI just milling about the place, making it feel like a battle instead of just PTs on PTs and destroyers trying to annihilate each other. One thing that is also key to look at when we look at both of these maps, these are 2 areas that are already represented in the game in different areas. So the Mediterranean port is represented in the form of the Italian ground map. And the Italian ground map, if we want to talk about where it is, it's on the southwestern side of Italy, opposite Sicily. So it's on that edge of the boot of Italy. So very, very close to where we see this naval map take place. And there's obviously been murmurings and thoughts from me and from others about this interaction between tanks aircraft and naval. And I think aircraft and naval, even though naval seems to dominate if the people using the ships pay attention, then it's still an okay mix. It works pretty well. And at the higher levels, it's basically with aircraft, you have to get a little bit lucky, to be honest, and you have to find a dude who is not paying attention to his surroundings to kill them, but still, the balance of power is at least somewhere even compared to tanks and naval, where it would be in the complete control of the naval vessels compared to the tanks. But anyway, with this one, it's the Italy map. The Italy map has exactly the same setting. And then in this one, the Greens Mountains Gulf, the best way I can describe it is the Norway map in a realistic. It has the same setting, it's in the same area, and a lot of the assets are very similar. So with that said, are we looking at some crossovers here between the modes? I personally still like the idea of War Thunder being the combined arms game. Ships, ground vehicles, air vehicles, all fighting on the same fronts, on the same maps. That is my goal at the end of the day. That's why I'm really interested in World War mode. That's why I really like Enduring Confrontation. And I hope that with this, we are starting to get more of an idea of these combined battles. I still have issues with light cruisers and destroyers against stuff like tanks, but we'll have to see in the future. And if they add in even bigger ships, there will definitely be no chance of mixing the game modes. I still think Hokkaido would be a great place to start with this. It's a perfect idea of an island where you could put ground, air, and ships on it all at the same time, or naval, I should say. And especially with the introduction of helicopters, I think it would be pretty cool just to give it a go, just to see what happens. I mean, we've already seen a few user missions where they add everything together, and they seem pretty successful, and they seem pretty fun, if not a little bit hectic. Now, obviously, it'll be a bit more serious in, random battles, but I think it will still be incredibly fun. Anyway, these are the two maps. I am looking forward to playing them. Now that the Operation Summers are over, I'll have a bit of free time to get stuck back into naval. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.